Necromunda is totally dominated by the human species, to the extent that many of the humans in the hive don't really believe in other races anymore. However, some of the original inhabitants of the planet still exist, having got inside the hives and found a niche to survive in, mutating and evolving into hideous parodies of their original forms. Other creatures have arrived by hitching a ride in bulk cargo shipments from far-off stars, or were pets and guardian beasts which escaped into the miles of ducts and vents running throughout the hive. Apart from a few small enclosed gardens and menageries in the upper spire, hive world plants and creatures only exist in the dark gloom of the Underhive, or out in the ash wastes. These creatures are universally regarded by Necromundans as vermin, or food, depending on how hungry they are. Giant spiders. Many forms of mutant spider grow to a great size in the Underhive, up to several feet in span. They are so common that they have been traditionally associated with Necromunda, and the famous Imperial Guard regiment recruited on Necromunda is known as the Spiders. Giant spiders can be found throughout the Underhive, from the gantries and vents of dome ceilings to the rubble-choked tunnels running beneath the floor. Different species of giant spider catch food in different ways. Wolf spiders have long legs and chase down their prey before killing it with oversized mandibles. Orb spiders weave thick, gooey funnel-shaped webs and hide at the end. Many unfortunate fugitives in the Underhive have run into these web funnels in the darkness, thinking them to be tunnels, only to be paralyzed and slowly drained dry by the spider. Their gruesome cadavers can sometimes be seen suspended in the decaying cobwebs that hang in the darkest recesses of the Underhive. Although, in the darkest, deepest recesses of the wastes, truly monstrous spiders lurk in eternal night. Gigantic spiders are huge specimens, measuring many meters across, with massive jaws and a malignant intelligence to match. They are aggressive and extremely territorial, so creatures that blunder into their vicinity seldom escape unharmed. Despite the dangers, hunters seek out gigantic spiders for their meat and venom, both of which command a high price in the Underhive. Most valued of all are raft spiders, which skate on the surface of the sump. Their eyes are crystals as pure and valuable as diamonds, and innumerable hunters have lost their lives in the sump chasing the dreams of wealth beyond avarice. Ash clams. These are one of the more outlandish creatures that inhabit the Underhive. How they came to dwell in the desolations of the Underhive is unknown, although they are known to occur in the ash wastes outside the armoured walls of the hive. Ash clams in the Underhive dwell underneath the covering of muck and rubble and are very sensitive to vibrations. Should any creature stray over its hiding place, the clam will instinctively react to the vibrations and immediately open its gaping shell, drawing in a shower of loose dirt and anything else that's above it. Ash clams will attempt to consume any living animal that comes too close, but a man is far too big to fit in its shell and will usually be trapped by the ankle or leg until they are freed, or starved to death. The Necromundian gas fungus. There are hundreds of kinds of fungus in the Underhive. The dank darkness is a perfect habitat for them. Most are harmless and can be eaten by scabies, mutants, and poisons, or drugs can be distilled by others. Fungi tend to grow in large clusters, often consisting of many different varieties. Gas fungi protect themselves from interference by releasing a cloud of mycotoxins, which have variable effects on humans. One of the most dangerous is the dream spore, which looks like a rainbow-coloured puffball. If trodden on, the fungus expels a cloud of hallucinogenic spores that bring nightmarish visions and waking dreams to anyone breathing them. Victims of the dream spore often fall foul of the myriad other dangers of the Underhive, and are often found drowned in sludge pools, hanging from spider webs, splattered at the bottom of long drops, and so forth. The Millosaur. Millosaurs are hideously mutated and enlarged centipedes, which can reach up to 2 meters in length. They normally live in the darkened recesses and swamp holes that abound in the Underhive. Here they lurk in the moist darkness, waiting for an unsuspecting creature to venture nearby. When their prey is close enough, the Millosaur will dart from cover and sink its poisonous fangs into its prey. The Millosaur's quick-acting poison will quickly reduce all but the largest creature to a helpless state, so the predator can drag its unresisting victim down to its lair and feast on the body at its leisure. Carrion bats. These large bats live in the tunnels of the Underhive, where they hang upside down in seething colonies. If disturbed, they flutter down the tunnels in a huge, squealing swarm. Carrion bats have ferocious piranha-like jaws, but they live by scavenging meat from the kills made by larger creatures. The bats are drawn by the scent of fresh blood and will flutter down to steal a few mouthfuls of flesh before the rats arrive to pick a carcass clean. Underhivers are afraid of carrion bats because their bite carries diseases caught from their scrofulous diet, including the dreaded zombie plague. Ripperjacks. These are dangerous winged creatures that normally inhabit the larger, abandoned domes in the Underhive. They hang upside down from the roofs in their darkened domains, swooping down on unsuspecting creatures that venture below. Ripperjacks attack by enveloping the head of their prey with their leathery wings. They then bite and gouge at their victim's eyes, face, and neck, while maintaining a vice-like grip with their wings. Unless the Ripperjack is speedily removed, its victim will quickly suffocate, or bleed to death. The brain leaf. This is a most extraordinary plant, and seems to possess a form of intelligence, albeit of a fairly low, instinctive level. The plant itself is vine-like, and has a greyish colouring that enables its tendrils to remain inconspicuous amongst the tumble of rubble and waste in the Underhive. The brain leaf's tendrils are rather plain and smooth, but at the end of each is a single leaf. Each leaf is a macrocell, and forms part of the plant's intelligence. The leaves that are equipped with rasping hooks and intrusive nerve bundles that become attached to a living creature if it moves close enough. The leaf injects its victims with complex fibers that speed through the victim's nervous system until they become mindless tools that the plant can use. Although not highly intelligent, the brain leaf plant is able to use its victims in a sensible and rational way, and the poor slaves are normally used as compost or protection for new seedlings. Once a brain leaf has attached itself to a host, it is able to detach from its parent vine, leaving the plant to grow another leaf in its place. Necromunda giant rats. The Underhive contains a warren of disused and decaying tunnels and sewers that are infested by swarms of rats. There are many different mutant subspecies of rats on Necromunda, and their individual physiology varies immensely. Giant rats can grow anywhere up to 4 feet tall, not including their tail, while the huge razor-sharp fangs of some of the larger creatures can reach well over a foot. Necromundan rats exhibit a form of low animal cunning and have incredibly fast natural reactions. These combine to give them an almost supernatural ability to dodge any attack aimed at them. Sludge jellies. These are venomous, stinging jellyfish that live in the sludge seas, and also in the pools of industrial effluent, which are common all across the Underhive. Sludge jellies that live far out in the sludge seas, or Old creatures that have been growing in stagnant pools for centuries can be very large indeed, but most are about 1 to 3 feet across. They are disgusting, squidgy, balloon-like creatures with many thin trailing tendrils sprouting from beneath them. Sludge jellies can instinctively sense any disturbance in their liquid dwelling places, and will suddenly float to the surface to catch anyone at the edge of the pool with their tendrils. Sludge jellies paralyze their victims with their tendrils, and then drag them down into the goo to be digested later. Face eaters. Now, these are some of the most unpleasant vermin to be found in the Underhive. They are a highly dangerous life form which was deliberately imported from the death world of Katachan. They were originally released into heating vents in an effort to prevent deviant scum and vermin using the miles of pipes to move around the hive. The face eaters flourished in the warm, moist conditions and became a problem in their own right within months. A subsequent eradication campaign has ensured they are only found in the Underhive now, where the harsh conditions keep their numbers in check. Face eaters can lie in wait practically anywhere, but prefer to hang from girders where they appear to be innocent scraps of cloth to anyone looking at them from a distance. Anyone foolish enough to approach a face eater will have to be extremely agile, as the face eater uses a powerful muscle spasm to propel itself at the victim's face. If the face eater lands on a target, it wraps itself around the victim's head, attaching itself with hundreds of minute and viciously sharp hooks and spines. Powerful digestive enzymes start to eat away at the victim's features. It is almost impossible to detach a face eater without seriously damaging its prey in the process. Lashworms. Some areas of the Underhive are infested with lashworms, strange creatures that arrived on Necromunda in spore form amongst textile cargoes from the Jubilon sector. Lashworms live in crevices where they wait, tightly coiled until a victim approaches close to them. The sensitive tip of the lashworm's tail protrudes almost invisibly from the creature's hiding place. Any vibration, such as a person moving nearby, will trigger the lashworm to attack, which it does by whipping out its long, flexible tail and slashing a morsel of flesh off its victim. The lashworm's tail coils around its catch and pulls back into the lashworm's lair to be digested. The worms themselves are small, coiling up to the size of a man's fist. Lashworms do not move, act immediately and instinctively, and are almost impossible to kill because they are so deeply embedded in cracks and crevices. Rubber moss. There are many types of lichens and mosses covering the ruined domes. By far the most annoying of them is rubber moss, which carpets large areas. Although the moss is not dangerous in itself, it has a very effective defense mechanism. Its growth is thick, incredibly bouncy, and highly unstable. Spine crystals. These are not really plants or animals, but mineral growths. They occur around the edges of effluent pools, discharge outlets, and wherever pollutants have been accumulating for a long period of time. They look very much like coral, consisting of a dense entanglement of crystals which are brittle and razor-sharp. It is impossible to hide amongst, and very dangerous to move through a dense clump of crystal fungus, unless protected by armor. Crystals will inflict thousands of tiny cuts and scratches, which will soon become festering sores due to the toxic and corrosive nature of the chemicals from which they grow. Wireweed. Some derelict industrial plants and some functioning authority establishments on Necromunda are defeated by belts of biowire, a genetically altered death world xenomorph. Some spores have also escaped over the centuries, and dense clumps of biowire are occasionally encountered in the Underhive or in the ash wastes. These clumps of wild biowire are known on Necromunda as wireweed. Originally grown as a form of military defense, a sort of living barbed wire, but infinitely worse, biowire is very tough and regenerates quickly. Its sharp thorns can pierce armor and lacerate exposed flesh to the bone. Wireweed also secretes an acidic sap, which will reduce those unfortunate to become entangled in it skeletal remains within.